Hi guys, welcome back to another video, or your first video here, I don't know. Welcome if you're new here, welcome either way. This is going to be both my unhaul and my haul for June. Yes, we just finished June. One, because I don't think I unhauled enough books to warrant its own video. Again, like, not last month, but the month before. And also, some of them are connected because I ended up repurchasing copies. So let's talk about the ones that I'm unhauling that don't have a connection to anything else, and then I will talk about the repurchases. So these two I talked about pretty recently in my haul for the month prior, and that is Fatcraft Volume 2 and Volume 3. These are collections or an anthology of artwork by a bunch of different authors featuring fat people as the main character of fantastical art. And I think that these promote such a good message. I think that it's so good to see stuff like this. However, most of the art didn't work for me. Most of it is not really my thing. Some of it I thought was really, really excellent, but a lot of it for me wasn't. So I will be passing these two on. And now let's get on with the repurchases. So I have this, there's nothing wrong with this cover of the Bone season. There's no damage to it. It is just bloody enormous, and I don't know about you, but like, I really hate physically reading books that are this big. These really big, extra tall hardcovers. They look great on the shelf, apart from when you have the series not matching, but I just really dislike holding something like this. And in the charity shop, I found a paperback copy. Look at the size difference between those two. That is absolutely bonkers. Am I holding it upside down? No, it's just that the logo looks a bit different. So I really have no idea what this series is about, but I am just much more excited to have a littler copy to go on my shelf, because this feels so much nicer to hold. And I know that's a stupid reason for getting rid of a book that I own and is in perfectly good condition, but I don't know, this probably cost about £2. And the last book of the month that I'm getting rid of is Monsters of Men by Patrick Ness, because I finally found the matching black editions to the ones I already replaced from the previous two books in the series. This is a series that I'm in the middle of rereading. I recently finished Volume 1, which I read during the Carnegie Awards when that was up, and Volume 2 I know I have read at some point in my life, but I really couldn't tell you anything about it. So this one I have never read, but I'm very excited to read it, and also I just really prefer these black covers, so I'm glad I bought this. Again, I just found this in a charity shop, so. And then to finish up, these are all ones that I purchased, and I'm not getting rid of a existing copy in order to read them. This one I found, I think, in a charity shop as well, because I wasn't particularly looking out for this, but I do tend to pick up anything that I see labelled as LGBT in any way. So this is the Drag Dictionary, a book which basically goes through the A to Z of certain terms used in the drag community that people might need explained to them. So, interesting. Next we have one that I might come to regret, or maybe not, because I only paid a couple of quid for this in a charity shop, and that is My Policeman by Bethan Roberts. So this one came to my attention mainly because it was part of my LGBT book club, and I didn't get to it in the month that we read it, so I didn't really have that much motivation to pick it up, and then I saw it and decided to get it. Again, this hits the bar of it was labelled as gay, and therefore I decided to give it a try. Most people did not end up liking this one, so I will be interested to see what I think. And given that, it's highly likely that I'm going to do an effort, which is really stupid that I just bought a copy, but don't tell anyone. Next we have one that was perhaps another stupid decision because of the fact that I haven't read the first book in this series, but that is Wayward Son by Rainbow Rowell. When I saw this in a charity shop, again, meets the bar of it's gay, so I picked it up, but also I'm collecting this specific cover style. I can't remember now whether or not this one ended up coming out in that previous cover style from the first book. So when I first bought the first book in this series, it was the one with the two silhouetted faces, which I thought was a bit shit. I'll just move this over here so I can put it up on the screen. And I didn't want to own it in that edition, so when I found it in the one I liked better, I picked it up. And this one matches the new cover, not the old one, so I wanted to pick it up while I found the edition I liked. So hopefully I do enjoy this, because this seems to be a very loved series. Next I have a couple of plays, and that is Afterlife by Jack Thorne and A Little Life, obviously by Hanya Yanagihara, but was adapted... Oh, it was also adapted by Hanya Yanagihara. So these are both plays that I have seen in the theatre and loved both of them. This one follows... Have I been explaining the plot of any of these? I don't know the plot of most of them, so I'm probably going to have to explain to and wrap up when I actually read it. However, with this one, it is following a group of people who work in purgatory, sort of a place between life and death, where they are preparing people to be sent wherever they are going to go. And this one just made me think so much about death and how you would spend eternity if you had a choice. And I think this was such an interesting play. I would love to see how that is reflected in the actual words. And A Little Life, I love the book. I would call it my favourite book of all time. I loved the play. I was very interested to see how they would adapt this one from that book, because it's so enormous, and how they were going to pick out the key plot points. It is a very, very long play. I mean, it doesn't look that long, but it was physically very long, but it was excellent. So I'm very excited to re-experience this story in this. Next, I have another charity shop find, and that is This Is Not a Drill, an Extinction Rebellion handbook. Working with my research, a lot of it being about climate change, I'm very, very interested in that. I'm also interested to see what is being done in activism and the effect it's having on the world. So I'm very interested to see the sort of things that are being put in a book like this, and hopefully I can recommend it afterwards. Next, I have a copy of a book I have technically read, and that is Eddie Izzard, Dressed to Kill. I'm a huge fan of Eddie Izzard's comedy. I've recently just seen them in a one-woman show of Great Expectations in London, and that was excellent. This one I listened to, I think in January, and I didn't realise was actually a physical book. Unfortunately, someone's written, like, carved in pencil into the face, knob. So clearly someone does not like Eddie Izzard. But I think that her comedy is very... I can definitely see how a lot of what she says has inspired other people and the styles of comedy that they do, especially people like Michael McIntyre. And unlike him, I think that she's far more political. I can't remember exactly what goes on specifically in this one, because I think I read a lot of them or listened to a lot of them within a very short amount of time, but I really enjoyed this. And finally, we have Good Omens by Terry Pratchett and Neil Gaiman. I have been meaning to read this one for ages, but what made me decide to pick it up was that this is the special edition covers that I am collecting. So when I saw it in a charity shop, I decided to pick it up. I think because this is one of their collaborative novels, unlike the more sort of matte, or the shiny matte versus the textured matte. I don't know how to describe the styles of what the cover is made out of, but these ones are the ones just by Terry Pratchett, and I suppose this sort of smoother one is for their collaborative stuff, but you can see that they match, so that was why I got it. Probably everyone and their dog knows the plot of this by now because of the series. I have put off watching the series specifically because I wanted to read the book first, and it is about an angel and a demon who are very good friends, and it's about their unlikely friendship. I was very worried, given I think it was the first trailer of this when the series was about to come out, that they'd made it be that they'd made it into these two complete opposites who didn't like each other but had to work together to accomplish a common goal. And I was really disappointed by that, because that's such a generic premise compared to this one, where the humour is that despite their differences, they're already very close friends regardless. I've heard in an interview, either by I think it was by Neil Gaiman, it could have been from Cherry Project, but I've heard from one of them that the way that he views these two characters is that they are in a queer relationship. But I don't think that's like on page confirmed in here. I think it's more implied. However, I'm very excited to read this. Again, gonna pause for a thumbnail, maybe showing half the book so I don't give all of them away. And there you have it. Those are all the books that I am getting rid of versus came into my life in the month of June. And I would love to hear about a book that you either bought or got rid of this month. And I will see you in my next video. Bye.